Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this morning's Morning 4321. We're going to be covering Mark chapter 10, the latter part, verse 35 to the end of the chapter. Today, we have two very special guests with us. Josh Coles, who is a former intern with us, and he is preaching with the Smedley congregation up in Indiana. Josh, good morning to you.
Morning.
And then, of course, Mark Roberts, who is not a former intern, but he's a very good friend. Well, Josh is a very good friend, too. Both are very good friends. But, Mark, it's great to have you here with us today as well.
Good morning. I wish I could be your intern. Maybe someone would teach me how to preach. That'd really be helpful.
Yeah, we'll find someone else. All right, we are going to be looking at Mark chapter 10. Mark chapter 10, let's begin in verse 35. And James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to him and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask you." And he said to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am to be baptized?" And they said to him, "We are able." And Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink, you will drink, and the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or my left is not mine to grant, but is for those for whom it has been prepared." And when the 10 heard it, they became indignant at James and John. And Jesus called them to him and said to them, "You know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant, and whoever would be first among you must be the slave of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." And they came to Jericho. And he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great crowd. Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped and said to him, "Call him." And they called the blind man, saying, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." And
was that Bartimaeus calling you?
Not quite. Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man said, "Rabbi, let me recover my sight." And Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. All right, Josh, what do you have for us this morning?
Put my phone on silent here as we get started. But anyway, well, obviously, James and John, they wanted glory. That's what they were seeking after. And a lot of times that's what people want, but are not willing to make the sacrifice that it takes to receive that type of glory. Especially in this case with Jesus, he reminded them of what he was going to have to go through. Of course, just before this, he was telling them of what he was going to have, a scourging and death and all of that. Sometimes when we think about positions of leadership, we think of the glory that comes with that, as far as, well, if I was the president, or if I was the governor, if I was the elders, I was the preacher, here's everything that I would do. But they don't look at the darker side of it, the suffering and the agony that comes with being the type of leader that Jesus calls us to be. He calls us to be willing to serve others. Jesus is going to appease the wrath of God. And that is not something that James and John would want anything to do with it. Jesus would do that before he could ascend to the right hand of God. They were trying to take a shortcut and immediately go there, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So if we become in this position of honor, become a leader of some way, are we willing to put forth the effort that's required, sometimes even suffering and agonizing over this position?
Yeah.
So let's not be like James and John and just skip to the end and have the glory and say, "Oh yeah, we're able to do all of that," without thinking it through first.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Mark.
I love this ending here where Jesus pays attention to Bartimaeus. I think sometimes we overlook how often Jesus pays attention to the nobodies. Jesus is not the person who's saying, "Get me at 10 o'clock with Pilate and get that Herod guy in there too, then I'm off to Rome to play golf with the Caesar." Jesus pays attention consistently and regularly to those that everyone else says are nobodies. No one is interested in them. Jesus is interested in them. And that reminds me here in Mark 10, Jesus is interested in ordinary people like me and like you. That's a powerful, powerful idea. I love that. Jesus cares about you.
Amen. All right. Great, guys. I appreciate it so much. Wonderful seeing you all. Everyone, thanks for joining us today. God bless you over the weekend. Lord willing, we'll see you again next week. David and Sean will be back with us. Everybody take care. Thanks, guys. See ya.